This is what happens when the fourth turning meets fifth generation warfare.
A commentator, international social media sensation, and former Navy intelligence veteran.
This is Human Events with your host, Jack Posobiec.
Christ is king.
I thought that New Jersey would do better. I didn't think that Virginia was going to do very well. I didn't think the candidate, didn't really have my support. The Cuomo situation, it's just, he had too many things against him. I'm so torn because I would like to see the new mayor do well because I love New York. For 1,000 years, communism has not worked. Communism or the concept of communism has not worked. I tend to doubt it's going to work this time.
Thousands of flights here in the U.S. are about to be canceled. Day 36 now, the longest shutdown in U.S. history, breaking the record set during the first Trump administration. Because of air traffic controllers not getting paid, air traffic now will be reduced by 10% into 40 major airports. Thousands of flights to be canceled.
As of today, the government shutdown is now the longest in U.S. history. Several senators are tentatively predicting it could end soon.
I'm optimistic that we should be able to get something done this week.
Multiple sources say a possible deal between senators is being negotiated. It involves some kind of stopgap funding bill and a promise to vote later on rising Obamacare subsidies. Some Democrats say that's not good enough, but two sources say about a dozen Democratic senators have privately signaled an openness to such a plan. If Republicans agree, that would be enough votes for the chamber to pass the bill.
One of the law enforcement guys comes in. It's very sweet, but what do you say to someone whose husband just was assassinated so publicly? I said, I've been doing this for 30-some years. He said, I will never tell you that you cannot see your husband. He said, but I, in my professional opinion, think that you should wait to see him once he's at the mortuary. Because I don't think you want to see him like this. The room got quiet because half the room knew it's probably a good idea. And the other half of the room was like, there is no way she's listening to you right now. And I responded back to him and I said, with all due respect, sir, I said, I want to see what they did to my husband. And I want to give him a kiss, because I didn't get to give him a kiss this morning.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board today's edition of Human Events Daily here live on Real America's Voice. Today is November 6, 2025, Anno Domini. You just saw there Erika Kirk giving her first sit-down interview since the murder of her husband by a crazed leftist. And incredible interview, heart-wrenching. A gut punch, many gut punches throughout the entire interview, but important interview at the same time. And perhaps the most newsworthy section of it that came out was when Jesse Waters asked her whether or not she supported this ban on cameras in the courtroom. And as you know, here on Human Events Daily, we issued a letter to the courtroom urging them to oppose this ban on cameras. Erika herself also came out in opposition to the ban. She said, let the cameras roll. Let everyone see what true evil is. And so wanted to get on a panel to kind of discuss some of the ins and outs of this. So we're honored to be joined by two illustrious guests today. We've got Libby Emmons, the editor-in-chief of Human Events and the Post-Millennial. What's up, Libby?
Not much. Doing well. Thanks for having me.
And, of course, Stephen Gardner, The Stephen Gardner Show. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on.
Well, Libby, just right off the bat, you were such a driving force behind that issue and that letter about the cameras. How important is it that Erika came out in favor of this?
I thought it was very important. I was really glad to see her take that position. She had a similar view that we had at Human Events, which is that the assassination of Charlie Kirk was public. Everyone could see it. It was right there on live stream. And I think the justice in the wake of that assassination should be public as well. The trial of the suspected killer should be public. The entire process of this trial should be transparent so that there are no questions left unturned and no question as to whether or not justice was served.
And now I want to turn over to Stephen. Stephen, I know you've gone to the UVU campus itself. I know you've done some great videos and have worked with people as well on the ground there that have dug into this. What's your sense of this going into the trial? Because I know there's been questions. People will say, oh, the affidavit. And Erika herself got asked last night, do you think they got the right guy? She replied that she had trust in the team. She had trust in their team. What's your sense of this as it goes to, and we don't have a trial date yet, but I believe the next hearing is set for January.
Yeah, so my understanding is based on recent court documents where Tyler Robinson's legal team was involved. They have a very strong case. There is an entire folder full of evidence from geofencing to his car to DNA on the roof, on the gun, on a screwdriver. So there's a lot that the defense is going to have to overcome. At the same time, I can see how an attorney who is advocating on behalf of their client wants to put as much in their favor as possible, getting him out of the suicide vest, having him come in regular clothing. But as Erika Kirk said, he was assassinated in public. He should be tried in public. There's already so much doubt around whether the FBI is doing enough, whether the Utah police are doing enough, whether the Utah County Attorney General is doing enough. Let us just see the court case, and we will be able to decide whether enough is being done. But lots of trial data and evidence has been handed over in discovery. We're going to learn a lot more starting around January 16th.
Yeah, I think it's right. And yeah, I just pulled it up as you were chatting. So it's January 16th is the next preliminary hearing, and then an arraignment on January 13th. So we're already pushed out 2 months into next year. Libby, I want to get you back in on this because there was a clip of me. So I was on the Charlie Kirk show the other day, and I was having a discussion about how I, just as a father, how incredible it was to see, and just almost unbelievable it was to see Tyler Robinson's parents play a role in turning over their son. And now this has gone viral online. People are saying that's not true. That didn't happen. That somebody else turned him in. And, I went back and pulled up the affidavit, and it's got his mother, that's Amber Denise Robinson, his father, Matt Robinson. Obviously, you see the two younger brothers there, Austin and Logan, their faces blurred out. But in the affidavit, it's very clear that the parents were the ones that first identified him and then reached out to a friend of theirs who is retired law enforcement. So, Libby, what's your sense of this? Why are people, do people think that they don't know who their own son is? I'm kind of at a loss here, or what the implications of this would be.
Yeah, I find that really surprising, too, that anyone would push back on that. In the days after Charlie was killed, there was a manhunt, there was an investigation. The FBI had to decide whether or not they wanted to release the surveillance footage. They did release that footage, and after they released that footage, Robinson's parents recognized their son in that footage, tried to contact him. There's text messages that were revealed. Robinson saying that he wasn't answering the phone of his father, that he wasn't wanting to talk to them. But it's all in the affidavit. And not only is it in the affidavit, if you go back to the press conference that was had, the sheriff of Washington County in Utah explained all of this and discussed it at length and took questions and talked about it. It was right there publicly on camera, on TV, like this entire thing has been from the start. And part of the, the parents recognized him. They reached out to him. I'm sure they didn't want to believe that this was their son, but they did believe it. He came over and talked to them and indicated that he had been the one who was responsible for this killing. Imagine how terrible it feels as parents. You don't want to recognize your child as a killer, but parents will recognize their children. You know how they walk, you know everything about them. So obviously, they didn't want this to be true. It turned out to be true, and they dealt with it in the way that a person probably should deal with it, right? Turn in their child, talk to them, get them to turn themselves in is what happened. So
I'll
that
cut
was
it over
very clear.
Libby, No, I think that's right. I cut it over to Stephen. Stephen, you've read over this as well, and I remember at the first there were questions. The parents reached out to a family friend of theirs that they knew through a church group. Turned out that he was also retired law enforcement. There were questions about the surrender. Is that your understanding of what went down when it came to the identification?
Yeah, my understanding is the FBI was very reluctant to release any video footage or photos. However, they were in a bind. They needed public assistance. And so they made the decision to release a couple of photos of his body, of his face, and of him after taking the shot, running and jumping off the roof. And, you can say whatever you want, but that footage is what triggered the mom to call the dad and say, hey, are you seeing this? This looks like our son. And the father confirming, yeah, you're right. I think that is. Now, there was some confusion because as soon as his photo was released, people started trying to use AI to enhance or sharpen the photo. And so the fake AI photo of Tyler Robinson started circulating just as quickly as the real one. But as Libby mentioned, a mom and a dad, they're going to know their son. They're going to know the clothing. They also identified, hey, I think I remember washing that American flag shirt. And then now we've got video footage of him being pulled over where he's wearing a very similar hat. He's wearing the glasses. He uses some of the language inside of the text messages that people are doubting. So, yeah, I believe the story about his mom and dad turning him in.
Pause it right there because I want to get back on this. The attire, the mother recognizing it.